Amazing, Sandro. I mean, it is a pleasure to be chatting with you. You've been in this journey, near to the Lux journey and to my own personal journey founding this company since the early days. But I want to start by asking you a little bit of a recap of your life and your professional life because you have such a journey in e-commerce. So why don't you just give us a bit of a glimpse of that?
So just like out of the box, yeah. And it was amazing because this morning I was thinking about it, and it's like I'm already like 30 years or plus more. I want to say not 30, it's plus 30 years in the retail space. And the cool thing about that being 30 years in the retail space is that I have seen so many different branches and so many different developments. I'm coming from an area where retail, the stationary retail was, a brick and mortar was like their thing. And also what was interesting, then changes happened over a period of time, like a 5 to 10 years time. There were changes implemented into the businesses. And then slowly but steady, like there was a development coming into the digital area, and then changes have emerged. I hope I use the right word, emerged to quicken. And now we're in an area of things that have been developed and implemented yesterday are already rethought and maybe have to be changed today or tomorrow. So, and we are really kind of in a speedy up phase. So just like that was amazing that I was able to do this. And also, I'm 53 and we're in a working space right now where we have 4 generations in the working industry, right?
Amazing.
Yeah, that's quite amazing. Yes, that's 30 years plus. I mean, I started with kind of a real big retail player called Metro at that point of time. Metro was a huge company in Germany, but also was based in Switzerland, the headquarter. At that point of time, Metro had not just a Metro Cash and Carry, they also had supermarket like Real, they also had Kaufhof as department stores. They have many, many other different companies. Now, in these days, they only have Metro Cash and Carry, and it's to see that there it shows you that such big companies, and then it's not just Metro, has not evolved during the quickness of changes. I think they were too long holding on to things. And I remember that we had once a leadership workshop in 1997 where we talked about this internet thing. And they all were saying, "Oh, this is just another thing that comes and goes." Yeah, but I remember that listening to an interview of David Bowie at that time, was in the 90s, that he was saying, "Oh, that internet thing, that's going to be huge. That's going to be big." And now, kind of fast forward, I think it's the thing that's changing our lives on a day-to-day basis. So, um, following from Metro, I had the opportunity after 10 years moving into another industry, which called teleshopping, which is quite, at that time, at the beginning of 2000 and 2008, was quite interesting to see, like selling products on a TV. For me, was kind of amazing. I remember when I watched teleshopping or infomercial when I came home from clubbing late at night and just zapping through the channels. But I didn't know that there was a business about that. But this was a huge business over the years, and it still is. I mean, QVC still at these days, they're roughly doing a revenue of $1 billion in Germany. Highly profitable, have an EBITDA margin of roughly 15-18%. And yeah, I think I was like the first touch point that I had is about impulse buying and storytelling. And impulse buying, something that we were able to sell product to consumers they have not thought about the day before, or they did not plan on buying this. So really kind of becoming an impulse buy, but through storytelling. And this kind of always stuck with me still until today. And I think we will come to that to see what today, but it's more about my development work for the last 30 years. So QVC was really stuck with me. And then I had In the company, I was doing financial stuff and also was doing sourcing areas, was responsible for program promotion, developing or establishing. And following from QVC, I moved into TKMX, which is a complete off-price channel. So there I learned a lot about how you manage inventory, how you secure inventory, and how to make sure that your inventory levels are on a healthy stage, that you are a profitable business. And after being in a brick and mortar, teleshopping, and learning about the outlet business, our next kind of logical move was getting into e-commerce. And I had the opportunity to join Brands for Friends in eBay. And Brands for Friends already was there kind of a young startup which was bought by eBay because they were hoping through Brands for Friends, which it was in the fashion channel, getting into the fashion business. And there I was responsible for building up merchandising planning, kind of at the link of controlling and inventory management. So I could use the things I learned over the years. And on the other side, I gained new experiences on the digital part of e-commerce. And then we kind of also had the impulse buy was due to the topic that we had creating sales event over a period of time and having a great offers that were just limited because of the time pressure that is. You have to buy it now and it's only limited stocks. So this was quite an interesting step. And also on the other side, I was kind of responsible helping eBay getting a footprint into fashion. This was quite tough because we all knew eBay was not kind of a inspirational fashion destination. I think there was also the time when the Fruit of the Loom 10 packs t-shirts, Nike socks 5-pack t-shirts were the top sellers. Average selling price on eBay on fashion was around 29 euros and dominantly male. So this is absolutely not, when you're thinking about fashion, you don't think about 80% male, you think about 80 to 90% female and a high rate, a high ASP and not like this. So that was quite a challenge, but still was interesting. And after that period of being over 6 years with Brands for Friends, I kind of did a step back, not a step back, but I kind of thought about, okay, I've been so many years in the industry. Why not offering all the knowledge that I had as a free agent or a free consultant? And stepped into consulting, which was also not a learning process. But what I discovered was that I had to do a lot of strategic topics, but I was not part of the execution and not part of like driving the things and helping the team or the people to execute. So I discovered that that's not my part of the game. So I'm not the kind of guy that only likes to build strategies and hundreds of pages of PowerPoints and dance in front of the board. I like to be part of developing things, but helping also the team to execute and stuff like that. So after this learning, I mean, over the last couple of years, I established kind of different advisory board topics, some coachings from young leaders, and I'm currently also doing an interistic role at a huge German retail company to developing a new digital sales channel. So that's what I currently am doing. So to sum up, yeah, over 30 years experience in retail, many different branches, many different roles, and been lucky to be part of these journeys and also seeing the old world and being part of the new world.
Yeah, no, it is amazing. And the reason why I find your experience so rich and so incredible is that, as you were saying, you started a company that was moving slow and transitioning slow into the next steps, but you managed to, you were the one that was moving along the market and what people wanted. So you literally saw, the evolution from brick and mortar to what we have today in retail. And I'm very curious to know, what do you see as the next step if you were to, continue on that momentum of going to the next thing? What do you think could be the next thing now?
Uh, Next thing, sometimes it's a bit spooky. Because I think the technical part is evolving on a rapid speed, especially if we talk about AI and VR. There's stuff that I think we're just tipping on the tip of the iceberg. I mean, there's a lot of hidden under the ground that it's coming our way. So I definitely see that AI will be not just like with the chat GPT that everybody start using and playing around with it, but AI will become your body next to your shoulders. What I mean by that is like this is something that will be part of your life no matter what. And I think it's going to be part not just in the retail space, it's going to be part in every space. I think it will be in some ways very productive because it will simplify a lot of things. It will be helping us being more productive, having some in some areas even better output, better insights, quick learnings. But on the other side, also I think it has a little bit of uh, we have to change our mindset. Also becoming thinking about future jobs. I don't think that just going the way we have been the last 30 years, studying economics, studying this, studying that, I think will have an impact. Having AI being so, I wouldn't say dominant, not in a bad way, but becoming such a big play in our lives that we have to rethink as human being what jobs will be for us in the future and how we not being scared of having AI next to us, but how can we use it and how can we use our resources maybe in a different way. So that's
Yeah.
where I see some part of the future, which I think is a huge play. And I think already big companies are playing, not just playing with it, but using it. I just wrote an article lately. There was a company in India who has replaced nearly 85% of their employees in the back end and replace it by AI. And they reduce costs by 70%, 75%, which from a company perspective, it's big, it's massive, it's great. Yeah. But on the other side, you ask yourself, okay, what are you going to do? What are you doing with the people that you had to lay off? What's going to happen with them? So I think this we have not figured out yet. And I think that's the scary part. And I think I hope and I wish that all these big companies who have access and building AIs are also be cautious on human beings are not ready for like going already shifting into the sixth gears. I think we're now in a ready shifting
Yeah.
in the second or maybe in the third gear. But that's where my head is at. Not being, I'm not a techie, yeah. So so I don't know how that things are being programmed and stuff like that. But just and I'm knowing that's coming, and I'm not afraid of it. I think that's something which is very important, especially being um, coming out of generation and I am, is you cannot go against the change that's coming. So you have to be open for it. Yeah, and being open and curious and learn. I think that's something that all of us, I mean, in the future is needed. And on the e-commerce side, I think one big thing, I mean, we talk about since 25 years about it's about personalizing, personalizing stuff for your consumers. Because we have seen it all over the place. As soon as you be more personalizing things, the buying habits go up, repeat buying is going up. People are more loyal to someone that really can think about their people, personalizing stuff. So this is something I think we have not really cracked yet. I mean, we talk about, as I said, since 25 years, even for even email and all that stuff, or WhatsApp, whatever. But if, I do believe AI can help us there. AI can definitely help us
Yeah.
there to create real personalized stuff or personalized content, which when you wake up and you think about, I need a new shorts, and all of a sudden, bang, you open up your mobile phone. It's already a message from you from your mobile saying, yeah, you thought about you need a new shorts. Here are some ideas. Yeah. I remember when everybody was talking about voice, that voice is going to be the next big thing. I was like, can you imagine in the morning you like open up your wardrobe and you see like, shit, my white shirt is gone. I need a new white shirt. And then talk to your mobile phone and say, listen, I need a new shirt. And the mobile device instantly, knowing your habits, knowing your preferences, is selecting five white shirts that you prefer. Yeah. And so this, I think, is definitely coming. And it's also kind of something that the young generation is expecting even more than we do, and also in a very quick response. So these are kind of high level where I think the future of e-commerce will change. And on top, I think what I learned already like 20 years ago is about impulse buy and storytelling. Still going to be a huge part of execution.
And I wonder, because what we're saying is quite interesting, but for some people it also sounds um, maybe intrusive, maybe like where's the line between something that you want as a consumer and something that is being pushed to you, right? Because there is sometimes, I know it happens to all of us, it's that we are scrolling on Instagram and we see products that we have been thinking about, and we feel like we're being heard almost. And there is a certain negative connotation to it, of consumers not, they want to definitely have personalized recommendations, but they don't want to be tricked into buying something. And I cannot help to relate that to also impulse buying, right? And we have a whole generation that it's kind of like thinking differently about consumption and the impact on the environment. So where do you see that line? I can imagine that you faced, maybe did you face a type of resistance back in the days when you had impulse buying as a concept, or was it not that was there not much concerned about it?
I mean, from a teleshopping perspective, I think that was the first step that I really got in touch with this impulse buy and storytelling. And the thing I think is it was due to the fact that you had a show which lasts 60 minutes. Selling time is roughly 52 because you have breaks, you have content, you make some spots, and the occasional. I didn't see that, but what I do see is sometimes you have to be cautious of overdoing things. Yeah, so like really kind of you like a product because you touched it, and all of a sudden it follows you anywhere on your screen. Yeah, so I think it's a hard thing to find the right balance of not too much and not too less. So I think that's where I see a challenge, and I unfortunately, if I would have the results, I think I would definitely make a business out of it. Uh, but I definitely see. I see that's going to be the big challenge. I don't think the technical aspect of really giving the consumer what she likes, but also in a way that she's doesn't feel like, oh no, stop it now. No, I like newsletter. All of a sudden you apply for newsletter, but if you get like too many push messages, you stop it. So how can you figure that out, that the push and pull is in the right balance for an individual?
Yeah, I agree. And I think, to me, I think about this a lot. Also, us at Lux, we are doing personalization at its core, right? Putting stuff in your body, seeing next to what you have, what's more personal than that. And I think the way in which we approach it is to think of how can we help someone make a better decision, and how can we help someone buy a product that they are gonna use. Because the biggest impact from our point of view in fashion is having products that do not go to the to the waste, do not go to so it is a bit about, for me, personalization is a lot about selling in a way that you help the consumer. But of course there are business models that are, the core of it is just selling more, and just selling for the sake of selling. So I think there is a line in there that individually we have to navigate, I imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. And also you just brought up a point is like making sure that waste. I mean, if you just look at the numbers and you see, on average, just look at my closet, and I see, oh, well, it's quite full, but at the end, I'm just going to wear maybe 30-40% of what's in it. And if you look at the markets, and you know it better than I do, I mean, this, and sometimes it's frightening to see how low the numbers are on the percentage that the consumers are really using the clothes he has in his closet, and also the wastage of tons a year. It's massive, yeah, of clothing. So if with looks, I think it's amazing because you help the consumer to figure something out what she likes, and she maybe orders the pieces that she thinks, oh, well, that suits me. And not like Zalando, you order, as you see in my house, every day there's packages coming in. I'm a father of 3 kids, and they're unfortunately fashionable. So it's all over the place. And I see so many packages, and I say, okay, shit, that's a lot of returns that are coming. I mean, it's waste of packages, it's waste of energy, it's waste of money, and it's like, yeah, we have to get down from a 50% average return rate in clothing, bringing it down to 20, yeah, which still is way too much. But that's something definitely I think we like looks is it maybe a tool, or is a app that could help, like pre-selecting. Okay, I really like that. Not just like, well, I order it and then you put it on and say, oh shit, that doesn't fit me. That just doesn't look good on me. So I think definitely things like that can help on many levels to become not just productive, but also more sustainable, more environmentally cautious. Is it cautious? Can I say that? Yeah. So that in the long run, we step away from high returns, high wastage. Yeah. That's definitely something that I'm supporting, and I'm also eager to learn about and being part of it. Yeah.
You touched the point of Zalando, the returns. 100% agree with you. Nevertheless, Zalando made, at least in Europe, in Germany, we cannot deny that it made fashion e-commerce happen at a scale that we had not seen before. And you mentioned that it was tough when you were at eBay to introduce fashion, and it was quite a few years ago. And I tend to think that the thing that made it for Zalando, of course, it is the assortment and everything, but I think it was the possibility to return easily and to return in a wider space, right, of time.
But it was a thing. I remember the first kind of advertising of Zalando, Schrei vor Glück. The message they had. And at that time, the average returns was 75%, going up to 80. I mean, 50 is nice and nicely calculated now because they have other categories. Yeah, really. I don't believe that they have 50% returns on fashion. I don't. Yeah. But that's just my point of view, because also QVC, when we started, I mean, I joined in 2000 and they started in 1996. There was always a message: buy it, try it on, figure it out. You get 30 days money back guarantee. I mean, we educate the customers in Germany. Germany is the highest returned country in the world. Nowhere else in the world there's so many returns than in Germany. Because we educated the customer, just buy 4 or 5 pairs of jeans in different sizes and keep one. Yeah. So no wonder we have that huge returns, and everybody was using that to get into. I think Zalando was also getting big because they had great marketing, advertising, like teasing, great offers. I mean, they had a huge selection of brands. Yeah. In my point of view, it was not really kind of impulse driven for me. I always try to also look at, as I'm a consumer, how does that touches me. And it became for me was Zalando more like the fashion Amazon. If I need something in fashion, I checked on Zalando.
Yeah.
But never as an impulse. Never as an impulse. And I think that's why they got huge. But I remember that once they cracked the first billion, they still were not profitable. Yeah. Look at About You. I mean, About You is cracking 2 billion and they're still not profitable due to the fact because they have also huge returns. And if it's on one side you have such big companies, but if you look how much waste they're going to generate, what are they going to do with all this overstock? I mean, I work for TK Maxx, which they are laughing in their shoulder because They don't have to buy, they don't have to produce products. They get enough products from all these big fashion retailers to stock their retail stores, and they make a hell of a lot of money, and they're happy with it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, they are, I mean, this is very controversial probably, but they, in some way, the outlets, contribute of those items not going to waste in some way, right? They are being reintroduced into the market. Yeah, and it's fantastic, because the problem with returns is that it is not so straightforward to bring them back into, into the stock, and some of them even cannot, and could go straight to waste. And
And a clap for TK Maxx, and I think this is and for me one of the best companies I have ever worked for, and from a value perspective, like from a people perspective, but also from a process perspective. I mean, as you just said, they're using product that somehow is out there in the market, yeah. So they're not creating additional waste, and they're marketing these products and offering it to the consumers, and in such a quick way. So they have hardly stocks in their warehouse. Everything that goes into a store is going to be sold. That means like they're already quickly on turning products, and also things that are not turning quickly enough, they're going to be depreciated, marked down. And soon as to make sure they go out, and if at the end is still stock that is not sold, that this goes to charity.
That's cool. I didn't know that. That's amazing.
That's in some cases. I mean, at least when I was there, I don't know if they have changed. I don't think they have changed that, but in some cases this goes to charity. Yeah, because it's a minor portion of the thing that they're not selling, and so that's. It's good to have such a big company in place who is helping the products the produced garments that are in the life cycle are not going to be just wasted.
Yeah. No, that is good. That is great, and I didn't know that. And I think now that proves that basically the options are there, and I think there is still a lot of work to be done on the consumer side. On our side as consumers, in using what we have, in buying more consciously. Of course, sometimes we are tempted and incentivized to buy, but I feel like there is a generational change as well, and we are changing our mindset globally in an interesting way when it comes to the impact that our purchases have in the environment. Sandro, to wrap things up, I want to ask you a question a little bit, more on the casual end. Is there anything that you feel nostalgic about from the early days of commerce in general, or e-commerce? Something that you miss, or that you feel like that you miss that it's gone?
Well, that's an interesting question, and I do sometimes miss the storytelling part, taking people on the journey, being transparent. I mean, especially if you look at the big companies, there's not much transparency, but it's not something that, as to come back to your question, that I missed. This is something that didn't happen in the past as well.
Oh, that makes sense. And when it comes to storytelling, I find it interesting because it sounds to me as such a critical element of the marketing journey of anything, right? And that is something that stuck with you and is still with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And do you see ways in which we are falling short in it, or where we can do better in storytelling? Because it feels to me that it is still important. It is still a big thing. What's your take on it as it stands today?
I think the storytelling is, thanks that you're picking up on this, is, I think, so essential, because we're consuming content, video content. Even I'm more on TikTok or on Instagram. I've never been on Facebook. I'm just checking Facebook once in a while to check what my old friends are doing. But so I'm consuming also like these short videos. But what for me, and also because I also have 3 kids, I'm cautious about that this is authentic and true, the content. And it's not, and we have seen when AI came up with ChatGPT, how much interesting content, like seeing the Pope in a night white down jacket and all that stuff. So, which is on one side is funny, but then at the end, it can be also quite scary that you create stories and content that it's not authentic and true. So, I think for me, it is still a way of creating content that is authentic and true. So,
Yeah, and I think that's particularly crucial when you're talking about commerce, right? Because you want people to if you're not being authentic, you're defrauding people basically. And you're selling them something that is not. And I feel like this happens so much in social media. I cannot compare it probably as you do, but I find every other store that I see on Instagram portrays products that look amazing, but you just gotta read on the comments and you'll see the amount of disappointment because they are not being sold as they are presented. And I think this was something that also happened in the early days of AliExpress, for example, when you were getting things that didn't match. I think in the early days of Shein, I think they've gotten better now, but showing a story that doesn't exist.
look at Temu that just came up, right? I mean, that's I'm scared sometimes on one side, like you create you're able to buy products for 199 and ship directly from China, and it's like, how can that be possible? I know that can be. This is definitely not something where the retail industry should go to. And also, of course, because of the environmental costs exploring, and like the energy costs and all that, living becomes more expensive. I think there's the risk that people are shifting into these kind of business models. But this, for me, I can't. As an old retailer, I'm still I like good quality for a good price with a good story. So that's kind of where am I at? And I think if we want to reduce wastage and making sure that people in Germany are buying not that many clothes, I mean, just have to legally just stop returns. I mean, just say like you cannot return goods. Yeah, then you will have an impact. But then on the other side, the business will drop dramatically.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, might kill it even. But what's interesting, I think, from the moment that we're living now, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. If a brand on social media does that, it sells something that it isn't. It is very easily exposed, right? As I said, in the comments, people make replies. How was it with teleshopping? Because I feel like then
huge
Amount of
fans,
users that
huge fans, huge
yeah.
fans. And I think what was different, I think with teleshopping, and what was different, or it still is, if you watch QVC, and also because of the age group that you're attracting, they're more loyal. They're not as quick as the younger generation. I'm following today, I'm following tomorrow, I'm gone. And so the kind of the TV host who runs the show, and then you have a product expert. They have a conversation. The conversation is like you and I at the fence in the garden talking about a product, yeah. And you as a viewer feel like you're listening to the conversation the two of us have, and then you feel like, oh shit, I like that. I want this too, yeah. And it was not really of course you had some mechanism to say, or techniques to say, okay, oh, this price is only for today. It's the only green pants in our assortment. Oh, size 36 is gone. You have to be quick. So of course you have these techniques, but not in a really kind of pushy way, because you pack it into the story. And it's more about the story. And I remember when I joined QVC, and one of the CEO of the US, he told me once, he said, no, Sandro, QVC is like listening to a radio. People have QVC running in their back for 24 hours because the host is talking to them directly. And also always in a very nice and friendly and respectful manner. And so I think that's why they have a lot of fans, and they're true. And there's one brand out there in the German market, which I believe as a young gun is doing that. It's called 6 p.m. I don't know if you know 6 p.m.
I think yeah.
Yeah, he's I think in Frankfurt area. It's called Ashraf, and he's into the streetwear business. He only sells his product through drops. But the way he interacts with his audience, with his community. He is so authentic, so true. He just has a drop today, but he decided, because in one t-shirt that he was planning to drop, there was a little kind of color fading. We as consumer don't see that. But as a textile expert, he saw that. He went on Insta and said, listen guys, this is supposed to be dropped tomorrow, but unfortunately this has some fadings or color fadings, and I'm not selling you product that is not good, so I'm giving this out for free. I was just listening to that story and saying, listen, this guy is the true kind of social commerce that works, yeah. And I mean, we need more people like him in the fashion industry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and listening to this, I was wondering, it sounds that it could have been easier for example, QVC to do something to sell a product that is not what they were showcasing, because people probably was not as easy to complain as it is right now, at least publicly. And I was wondering why is it worse today potentially than what it was yesterday in terms of selling products that might not be what they seem to be. And I think it might come to this fact that QVC had a brand on its own that was huge. There are not multiple brands that you can risk one of them and then you have the other. You have a reputation to preserve, and also with the example that you just gave, you have your reputation and your brand is most of the value, and that's why people come back, and that's why you have such loyal fans, as you were saying. Would you agree with that, or do you see another?
Yeah. I would probably agree with this, but the thing is also like, I mean, is the preparation QVC takes until a product goes on air. There's like 6 months time before a product goes the first time on air.
Wow,
to
that's crazy.
6 months, depending on production time, lead times, but also the preparation on the execution on air is really kind of, it's like a storyboard. Yeah, it's really kind of, then you have to select the right guest product expert, that the product expert fits to the product expert knows about the stories. And so there's a lot of kind of pre-work done until this product goes on air and has 6 minutes selling time. And after the 6 minutes, if this product is not delivering the value per minute, it's gone. So it could be very frustrating for someone, a sourcing team, who has sourced the product, developed everything until the product goes on air, and it goes on air, and after 6 minutes, the numbers tell you, nope, customer don't like it, gone.
Yeah.
But from a storytelling perspective, they take more time. That's not something when I was in the D2C world with influencers, we're selling. I mean, when I had the opportunity to work 2 different companies in the D2C world on Instagram, where I thought, oh wow, this could be kind of teleshopping 2.0, because you're using influencers presenting a product over 5 stories sequences. That's kind of a teleshopping approach. But once I discovered the execution and the prep that's behind, it was not the quality as a QVC is executing.
I can imagine that now at QVC you mentioned that the show was 50 minutes, right? And that's compared to the 30-second TikToks. I guess you have to balance it out. How do you optimize this production machine so that what you invest to get this 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, it's cost effective. So I guess that's where the quality hurts. Now your whole cost setup, it's completely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you're able to crack that in a way that you have kind of a high quality content, but squeezed in 30 seconds, I mean, then you're the master. Because I also saw when Douglas is expanding into live shopping, and I think it was, I was like, wow, cool, such a big brand is going into live shopping. But I was a little bit disappointed on the execution, and also a little bit disappointed in regards to the quality of the content they have produced. Because in my mind, it just for me, it doesn't fit Douglas. It doesn't. If you have a picture of Douglas walking into their stores and stuff like that, and then you're watching 2 girls in a bathroom selling a product, just did not
Yeah, it was a bit weird. Yeah.
relate to me. But that's, I mean, and then also sometimes everybody was trying to compare the Chinese business, which is a multi-billion-dollar live shopping business. Yeah, but the Chinese consumer is not a German consumer. So, and that you cannot just copy paste. It's not working. Yeah.
And most importantly, the Chinese influencer is not the German influencer.
Yeah. No. No. Yeah, it's the same when QVC came to the German market. The first shows were the US style, and they quickly realized that's not what the German consumer wants. Yeah? So they had to adapt it. Even TK Maxx, if you go to a TK Maxx store, is not as squashed and crowded if you go to an American store. So they had to adapt also to the German needs. And so, yeah, from a content perspective, I think it's going to be very interesting in the future how we are able to create content that is relevant, authentic, true, but also in a cost efficiency so that you're able to squeeze it into 30-second TikTok. So I mean that's kind of interesting how to do
Yeah.
that.
I think that's an amazing way to close it. I think it's a very there is a lot of optimism in how we can do e-commerce better adapted to what we have today. I think that the tools that we have today are amazing. As you've said, there is a lot of potential, and there's still like a long way to go. So I think it's good that we have you around for all of us, diving deep into the new way of e-commerce. So yeah, Sandro, it was an amazing chat. Thank you for being on this journey with us.
Thank you for having me.
But
Yeah, and hopefully we can have a part 2 soon.
Looking forward to.
Amazing.
Have a great day.
yeah,